Hello everybody and welcome back. I've been getting a lot of requests on how you would go about making a foam gauntlet and shoulder armor. So that's what we're going to cover today right here on the Evil Ted channel. And now for the shoulder. Now what this is exactly, this is kind of the for you people out there who made a duct tape body form, you can do that too. Just for easy a video, I just laid down on the ground and traced myself. And this is my head, my neck, and my shoulder. So the reason I did that is because I'm going to take some vellum, some transparent paper. You can just get this like in most like graphic stores, art stores, tracing paper basically. And I laid this on here because what we're going to do is we're going to pattern out a shoulder. And what I'm going to do, I have my pencil. I'm going to kind of sketch this out. Like, I realized my shoulder I wanted to have come down here like this and kind of come down straight, and I'm going to curve it here and kind of have it maybe kick out at an angle. So once again, when you're doing a shoulder, if you're basing this off a video game or whatnot, to kind of see where you're going is always just to make your first one. You're not going to get it perfect the first time, so you're going to make yourself a prototype. Your first trial here. So what I like to do when I'm drawing this thing out is I'm realizing that this is where my shoulder ends. I always like to go past the line of where my shoulder is. So I'm estimating like about, let's go ahead and say about an inch. So we're just going to freehand this because you know it's going to come up and curve. So maybe an inch or maybe. Now I have my shoulder sketched out. What I'm going to do now, I have that. Let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Get my Sharpie, do that. Now, this is my edge, which, what I like to do for this, these cool flexible straight edge rulers. You can kind of see they bend, and I apologize, there's a name for these. And off the top of my head, I cannot remember what these are called. But you can get these at graphic stores and whatnot. And as a matter of fact, what I'll do is I'll do some research, find out what these are called, and I'll put a link for these below the video. But what I like to do is that you can freehand your curve, but with these guys, you can kind of, it just makes them nice and clean. So I get my edge where my beginning is, and I kind of curve it to where I want it. See, there you go. See how nice and clean that is? Now I have my mark. These guys right here, I'm going to do my registration marks because this is going to be make this in two pieces of foam. So I make sure these guys line up. I'm just basically going to do this twice and duplicate it, flip the other side. So I'll make this one here and there. Now, till we have this laid out, let's go home. Tell you what. Let's go call it shoulder. Now I got it, take my trusty X-ACTO blade. All right, now we have it. I got it cut out, right there. Now I'm gonna cut out my registration marks. Once again, these are very crucial. I actually got when I was doing one of the videos, somebody actually wrote to me and said, what do you need registration marks for? And I thought, wow, are you not watching these videos? Because if you don't have them, you can definitely glue things together, but they won't go back perfectly. They'll kind of get twisted. And I worked on a lot of, I used to make stuff for myself, and I would always do it, and it was always a trick to get them lined up perfectly. I was working with a bunch of people on a show, and I watched these guys lay registration marks, and all of a sudden, like a lightning bolt went off in my head, and went, oh, that's how they do it. All right, now it's cut. Let's go ahead and put this on some foam. All right, here they are, my right and my left. Once again, before I glue this, if you guys watch my other videos, I like to preheat this and curve this first. So we can get a nice curve in these guys before we glue them together. So let's do that. Here they are, already heated and bent, ready to be glued. And I get a lot of questions, which brings to mind on this video. People keep asking me, hey Ted, can I use a hairdryer to heat my foam instead of a heat gun? And the answer is no, you cannot. A hairdryer will get the foam warm, but it does not have the heat that you would need to make the foam soft enough to bend. So all you people out there want to use a hairdryer, I'm sorry, a heat gun is a great essential tool to cosplay and fabricating. If you don't have one, save up the money, break down, and get yourself one, because you can find them at Home Depot, most hardware stores. If you guys have Harbor Freight, that's a good place to find them. But anyway, meanwhile, I'm babbling about the heat gun. I'm going to go ahead and put some Barge Cement. Once again, people ask me that one too. Hey Ted, what glue do you use? And I use Barge Cement. There's Weldwood contact adhesive, and that works too. There's other contact adhesives out there that work, but I always found Barge is better because it's flexible. I found that the other glues have a tendency to get stiff and they crack over time. So, all right, all glued, dried, and ready to be applied. Here we go. Gotta line my marks up. Start with the top. And keep that seam nice and flush. The more you work on keeping your seams flush, the less you'll have to sand. Okay, stop. That's a good grab. And ta-da! There it is. I love when you just push it, it all just kind of comes together. And there it is. There's our shoulder piece. And once again, I like it. Once again, I'm just kind of winging it, made up as I went. And now I look at it, it kind of cuts in a little bit more on the bottom that I'd like, and too much on the top. And that's the best thing about prototyping. You have it, you cut it out, you can three-dimensionally see it now. I have my pattern, so I can go back and make alterations. What I would do is take this pattern, retrace it onto a new piece of paper, and just extend this, maybe 3" more here, and maybe kick this out a little bit more. Therefore, when I do this, I'll still have the basic shape, but these will not cut in so much. And that's how you go about doing it. So that is my technique and how I go about making shoulder patterns. All right, we're gonna make a foam arm gauntlet. So what you need to do is make some measurements. So of course, I have the fabric tape measurement, and that's going to give you the measurements, but you're not compensating for the foam. So what I used to do, I would just cut some thin foam strips, and I would just wrap it around my wrist to the thickness I would like and cut it to size and do that. But after watching a video with my buddy Bill Duran, he made himself a foam ruler. I thought, what a great idea. So that's what I made. So foam ruler has the inches, and so we're going to do that. We're going to measure my wrist, because this is the thickness that I'm going to use to make my foam gauntlet. So I'm using the same thickness of the foam, so I'll get the exact measurement. So let's start with the wrist. All right, we're going to wrap around here. And I'm going to go a little snug on this bad boy, because even though you cut it and glue it, it's going to still have some play in it. Let's go, I'm going to go down to like 9 inches. All right, it's a bit snug, but I know I can taper my hand and push through it. So we'll do that around the wrist, 9 inches. And for the forearm, same thing. This will be a lot easier because you're sliding into it. So let's go ahead and go 13, nice and flush. So we got our measurements for that. Now for the length from my wrist to my bend, let's go ahead and say 9 inches. So 9 inches long, and then 9 for the width, and 13 for the back. So let's go ahead and draw this onto paper and cut it. And there we go, transferred to paper. I have my pattern. What I do is I always do my center line down the center to get my measurements, and I did 9 at top, 13 at the bottom, split the difference. So it was like 4.5, and this was 6.5. Got my measurements. So now I have my pattern, and usually you go and just transfer this to foam and start cutting. But when you roll the pattern, I realized too, when you kind of get it put together, you can see how it kicks out. It comes around and has an angle on it. So it kicks out a little bit here and it kicks in here. So I got to do that. I'm going to trim a little bit off of this, a little bit of that. So since this is folded in half, like so, I'm going to take my ruler. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take, I'm going to kick this in. All right, trim this in a little bit. So I'm going to do about, let's do about 1/4 there. And now I'll just take that. And granted, you could probably curve it a little bit more, but I'm just going to just do a straight cut, just to kind of level it out a little bit. And now, same thing here. This time, this is the wrist, and I'm going to go in because it was kicking in, so that it needs to come down here. So on the inside, I'm going to do the same dimensions, right there. Make my mark. for the inside. So for the inside, cutting the inside for the top of the wrist. Line this guy up. Take my X-ACTO knife. Got that. And now I cut the bottom. There we go. Once again, this is just R&D, but now when I roll it together, it's a little bit more even. It doesn't kick out as much, see? Kind of bounced out. All right, so now that we have that, let's transfer this to foam. All right, there it is, all cut and ready to go. Now, before we put anything together, I want to heat and curl it. So let's heat this bad boy up and let's get a curl on it. Okay, once again, all heated and curled and ready to go. Once again, I just want to reiterate, can you bend foam with a hairdryer? No, you need a heat gun. So heat gun's the thing to bend the foam with. But now I got that done. I got my Barge Cement that I went in and put two thin coats on. I'm ready to glue. So with that ready to go, got it all lined up. Now, all you have to do is push it together, line up those seams, because you always want to make sure you get it nice and flush. And there'll probably be somebody asking, hey Ted, there's no registration marks in this. But being it's a straight line and not a lot of curves, it's a lot easier to line this up just starting from end to end. So that's why I really don't bother doing the registration marks on a Gauntlet. But if they do if you have something like a shin guard or something really long, then I would probably do that. I'd definitely put some registration marks on it. Okay. Now what I like to do is once it's glued together, you can kind of see how it's oval like that. I'm going to take a heat gun and shape it because now the tension's on it, you heat it up and it'll round out more. So let's do that real quick. Once again, yeah, this does it really well because once you get it glued together, it'll make the foam soft again and it'll kind of make it a little bit more round and even. All right, see? Now you get the heat in there, rounds it, makes it, because it warms the foam back up and then pop back to its original shape. Nice round. You guys ready? I think the test fit. Oh. Foam Gauntlet. Now granted, it's a little snug around the wrist, which I like. If you find it's a bit difficult to get in and out, what I would do, when you're cutting your patterns, you can always do a 45 and make this beveled, or you just want to take a Dermel and go back in and sandal it. Makes it a lot easier to slide on and off, but I'm really happy with this, and that's pretty much a foam Gauntlet. Oh, and also, real quickly, what this is, I found out the name of it. It's a really simple, it's a flexible ruler, and you can find these in graphic stores, or better yet, go to my Amazon link below on my supply list, click on this, and you can buy it. It's just a flexible ruler. It's great for making curve lines, nice and precise. Ta-da! There it is. Foam Gauntlet and shoulder piece. I know people will be writing to me saying, hey, I think a gauntlet involves a glove. Some people call this forearmor. I call it a gauntlet. Anyway, guys, if this is your first time watching me, don't forget to subscribe to the link below. And also, check out other videos I've done on foam fabricating right here. And also, if you guys have a list about supplies and what I use, this is below me. It says click on see more. I have an entire list of everything I use. And when you click on that, it takes you to an Amazon link, which is my Amazon link. So if you guys want to shop for supplies, go through my Amazon link, which no extra cost to you. I get a little kickback, which helps me to keep making videos. That'd be great. So also, guys, thank you so much. I had fun making these. Don't forget to come back next time for more foam fabricating right here on Evil Ted channel.